Hello everyone, welcome to today's class. Today we are going to see class 10, Science, Chapter 5, Life Processes. Already we saw in our previous class regarding the life process introduction part. Today we are going to see the first part, nutrition and autotrophic nutrition. So today we are going to learn what is nutrition and why organisms need it. And also we are going to differentiate between autotrophic and heterotrophic nutrition. And we are also going to learn the process of photosynthesis in detail and also to understand the role of chlorophyll, stomata and guard cells and also the raw materials and how plants obtain nitrogen and other minerals. Let's start with the part today. Nutrition. See, every living organisms require energy to survive. For example, whether we are walking, studying or even resting, we need energy. So our body constantly uses energy to maintain some internal balance and perform some essential functions. So this energy along with the raw materials for growth and repair, from where it is coming? It is coming from the food we consume. So nutrition is nothing but the process by which organisms obtain and utilize food. Yes, children? So you can see here two modes of nutrition. So two modes are there. One is the autotrophic mode and another is the heterotrophic mode. So autotrophic mode is nothing but organisms, they make their own food. Examples are green plants and some bacteria. Heterotrophic are organisms, they depend on others for food. Examples, animals and fungi. Autotrophic nutrition. Before going into autotrophic nutrition, see autotrophs. What is an autotrophs? Auto means self. Troph means nutrition. They are selfly synthesizing their own food. They are producing their own food. Yes, children? So, the nutrition is the process of taking in food. We are taking in food from outside. We are, as we saw in the previous class, we are not producing the food. We are taking it from outside and we are converting it into energy. So here what is happening? Nutrition is the process of taking in food and converting it to energy and useful substances which is required for the growth, development and maintenance of the body. So what is this? It is a fundamental life process which is necessary for survival. Without this, we cannot survive. Yes, children? So here, they have given one photosynthesis equation. So all these things we are obtaining from nature. For example, let us take this carbon dioxide. We get this raw material from air and water we get from the soil. And energy source, see sunlight, we captured chlorophyll is capturing the sunlight from the environment, yeah, from the sun. It is getting the sunlight from the sun. Then who is doing this job? Chlorophyll, where it is present? It is present in the chloroplast. Where is this chloroplast is present? In the green part of the plants. Yeah, so all these four components, they form the food. Food here is nothing but glucose. So what is this? C6H12O6 and also some oxygen is also produced. So how it is stored in the plants? So this unused carbohydrates other than which is already used by the plants. So the unused carbohydrates, glucose they are mentioning here as carbohydrates. So many glucose molecule they form the carbohydrates, right? So how they are stored, children? They are stored in the form of starch in plants. But in animals what happens? It is stored in the form of glycogen. Next we are going to see we know autotrophic nutrition is taking place. How it is taking place? They are producing their own food. And what is happening? How they are producing their own food? By a process called as photosynthesis. So here we are going to see the steps which are involved in photosynthesis. The first step is absorption of light energy. Before we go into these steps, let us see this cross section of the leaf. Can you able to see here the cross section of the leaf, children? So the cross section of the leaf, when we take a leaf and cut into like this, so we can able to see, so this is the top portion, we call this as, see here we can able to see, this is the upper epidermis. Here we have the waxy cuticle, the smoothness. If you can touch a leaf and see, you can able to feel it, right? Then upper epidermis is present. Here we can able to see the chloroplast. See the chloroplast here, can you able to see? And here in between all these cells, we have this air spaces. And here in the lower epidermis, you can able to see the stomatal opening. So this is the stomatal opening and these are the guard cells. Yeah, in the next slide, we will discuss about the stomata. Okay, let's go into the steps which are involved in the photosynthesis. So absorption of light energy is very important. So, light energy is absorbed by the chlorophyll which is present in the chloroplast of leaf. So, where is this chlorophyll? It is a pigment which is giving green coloration to the plants. Where it is present? It is present in the chloroplast of leaf cells. And then what happens? Conversion to chemical energy. Next step. So, the light energy is converted to chemical energy. Here what happens? The water molecules, they are split into hydrogen and oxygen. This process we called as photolysis of water. Yeah, photolysis of water. What happens? The water molecule H2O are split into hydrogen and oxygen. Then reduction of carbon dioxide takes place. Carbon dioxide is a very important gas. See, any one thing is absent here, photosynthesis cannot happen. So carbon dioxide plays a very important role. So what happens here? The carbon dioxide, it is reduced to carbohydrates. So the carbohydrate is nothing but the glucose molecule. We saw no C6H12O6. So what it does? It is using the hydrogen released from the water splitting. Then let us start with the stomata here. Stomata plays a very important role. So what happens? It helps in the gas exchange in leaves. So how they are able to find your in your lower classes, your teacher could have taught you take a leaf. Yeah, you just turn back the leaf. You can able to feel small pores will be there. You would have seen in your laboratory also the structure of the stomata. You could have seen in your lower classes. So where it will be present on the backside of the leaf. Then what happens? These stomata, they are nothing but tiny pores on the leaf surface. Here what happens, children? Massive gas exchange is happening in the stomata. And then this gas exchange, wherever the part is, what is it, stem, roots, or leaves, wherever any greenery, the stomata is there, you can able to see the gaseous exchange. And then these plants close stomata to prevent water loss. If the stomatal opening open means what happens? The carbon dioxide will enter. So this guard cells, actually two guard cells are present. So what it does? It helps in opening and closing of the stomata. It absorbs the water from the atmosphere. When it absorbs the water, it swells up. When it swells up, what happens? Automatically, the carbon dioxide will enter inside through the stomatal pores. And when the water is lost, the stomatal pore closes. So, the entry of the carbon dioxide is not allowed. Yes, children? So here some exam tips they have given. So guard cells regulate a stomatal opening. When water enters them, they swell and the pores open. Frequently they ask this in the board examination. Here some raw materials for photosynthesis they have mentioned. So you can able to see the raw materials. So what are the raw materials for photosynthesis? We need a four raw materials like how your mommy is cooking in the kitchen. So here leaf is called the kitchen, right? Kitchen of the plant. So what happens there? Carbon dioxide, water, sunlight, chlorophyll, all these raw materials are very important. So carbon dioxide through the stomata from the atmosphere, it is entering the plant. Then it is reduced to form glucose. Then what happens? Water. From where you get the water? Water is absorbed by means of the roots from the soil. Again, by the hydrolysis or the photolysis process, what happens? It is split into hydrogen and oxygen. Then sunlight. From where you get the sunlight? From outside. From where? From the sun. It provides energy for the reaction. Then chlorophyll. Chlorophyll, where it is present? In the chloroplast in leaf cells. What it does? It absorbs the light energy. Apart from this, some other essential materials also present for the plant growth, which is very essential. Nitrogen. Nitrogen is very essential for the synthesis of proteins and other compounds. So from where your plants obtain this in the form of inorganic nitrates or nitrites, or as organic compounds prepared by bacteria from atmospheric nitrogen. This atmospheric nitrogen you could have come across in your lower classes. Nitrogen cycle. Yes, children. So during this thunder, all those things, what happens? So many reactions you could have read, no? So at last, what happens? It will be fixed in the soil in the form of the nitrates. It will be taken by the plants. It is again assimilated. Yeah. So many things happens. Then phosphorus. Phosphorus is essential for energy transfer. That is ATP and also for DNA synthesis. Iron and magnesium is also required for chlorophyll formation and enzyme functions. Next, we are going to see some activities which are present in your book. See, this chlorophyll and carbon dioxide is a raw material which is very essential for photosynthesis. Yeah, we are going to see it. So, chlorophyll is essential for photosynthesis. So, what we are going to do? We are going to take a potted plant with a variegated leaves. We are going to leave that in a dark room for 3 days. So, what will happen? It will lose its starch, right? Then, again, we are taking the same plant, keeping that plant in the sunlight for 6 hours. Then we are going to pluck a leaf and we are going to boil the leaf in water. Then we are going to take the same leaf, put it in an alcohol beaker and keep that alcohol beaker in a water bath. Yeah, double boiling method. Yes, children. Then what happens? After that, we'll take that leaf from that alcohol and we dip in a dilute iodine solution. So what happens there? We can able to see only the green parts turns blue-black, indicating the starch, and the non-green parts remain unchanged. Hence, it is proved that chlorophyll is essential for photosynthesis. Wherever chlorophyll is present, that part is green in color, right, children? So, that part alone is changed by means of this iodine solution to blue-black color. Yeah. So, next one we are going to see carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis. So what we are doing? We are taking two similar potted plants. Again, we are keeping that in a dark room for 3 days. And we are placing that each on a separate glass plates. And to one plant, we are keeping the KOH solution in a small beaker or a bowl. And other one, we are leaving as such. Then what we are doing? We are closing both the plants with the help of bell jars and sealing it with the Vaseline. We are leaving it in the sunlight for 2 hours. Now, after that what we are going to do? We are going to remove that, take a leaf and test with iodine. The plant which was having the KOH solution, it didn't answer for the iodine test. But the other one without the KOH, it answered for the iodine. How? Why? Because what happens here, the KOH solution, it absorbs the carbon dioxide. So when the carbon dioxide is absorbed means what will happen? Photosynthesis won't occur, right? But the other plant without the KOH, it underwent this photosynthesis process and that is why starch was produced and it answered for the iodine test. So the plant without carbon dioxide shows no starch formation and hence it is proved carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. So these two activities they may ask you in one more question, children. So here are some memory tips and board exam questions. Photosynthesis equation is very important. You just in order to keep in memory, just think it as a recipe. You get carbon dioxide from air, water from the soil. So it needs sunlight and chlorophyll, some ingredients. Okay. So output will be glucose and oxygen molecule, and some water is also given out. And then events of the photosynthesis we read as the steps, right? So you remember as ACR. Easy to remember, right? A means absorption of light, C is conversion to chemical energy, and R is reduction of carbon dioxide to glucose. So here some frequently asked board exam questions they have given. So want to answer for this question also? Yeah. So what are the necessary conditions for autotrophic nutrition and its byproducts? So these are 3 mark question which was asked in 2024, 2017 and 2016. For this the answer is, say necessary conditions means all those raw materials are the necessary condition, right? So sunlight, it provides energy. Chlorophyll, it traps the sunlight energy. Carbon dioxide from the air we are getting, and water from the soil. So byproduct is oxygen is released during photosynthesis and glucose is formed. Where do plants get each of the raw materials required for photosynthesis? Again the same question only. Carbon dioxide from air through stomata, water from the soil absorbed by the roots, and from sunlight from the sun. Chlorophyll is present in the chloroplast of green plants. So what is the differences between autotrophic and heterotrophic nutrition? This you studied in your lower classes. See, autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition, I'll just compare it. So organisms make their own food. Where? In autotrophs. Heterotrophs, organisms depend on others for food. Here in autotrophs, it uses carbon dioxide, water and sunlight. Here in heterotrophs, complex organic food is used in order to form energy. Here it requires chlorophyll. This does not require a chlorophyll. Here examples like plants, algae. Here examples like animals and fungi. In autotrophs, food is prepared by photosynthesis. Here the food is ingested and digested and further energy is produced. Next we are going to see. So here are some key takeaways. Yeah. So whatever we saw in this lesson, yes, in the nutrition part. So actually nutrition is a vital life process that sustains all living organisms. Do you agree, children? Yes, of course, it's a very vital life process. Without nutrition, life cannot sustain. So autotrophs, they form the base of the food chain. Plants, right? By producing their own food by a process called photosynthesis. While heterotrophs, like us, we depend on them for survival. So the process of photosynthesis highlights the importance of what are the raw materials there? Sunlight, chlorophyll, carbon dioxide and water in maintaining life on earth. That's it for today's class. Be in touch, children. Please like and subscribe. Upcoming classes are there. Thank you.